12 grams. That's what it should weigh. A thin metal disc, 23 millimeters diameter, 2 millimeters thick, standard aluminum alloy. Soviet state standard specification. But it weighs 47 kilograms. The object is designated Plate S in the archive. S for Sverdlovsk, where it was found, where it was made, where everything went wrong. The discovery report is dated March 15, 1981, filed by Quality Control Inspector Nina Pavlova at the Euromash machine building plant. Her report is single page, standard format, routine inspection documentation, until the final paragraph.
Sample 447-B failed mass specification test. Expected mass 12 grams. Measured mass 47.3 kilograms. Recalibrated scale, repeated measurement, result identical. Inspected sample visually, no defects, no contamination, standard dimensions, standard appearance, abnormal mass. Request supervisor review.
The supervisor was Dmitry Volkov, senior engineer, 20 years experience. He examined the sample himself. His report is attached.
Confirmed Inspector Pavlova's measurements. Sample 447-B mass, 47.3 kilograms. Dimensions verified. Material composition verified via spectrographic analysis. Standard aluminum alloy. Correct ratio silicon, magnesium, copper. No foreign materials detected. No explanation for mass discrepancy. Sample retained for further analysis.
The sample came from production batch 447, 500 metal discs, stamped from sheet aluminum, destined for electrical junction boxes, standard components. The plant produced thousands weekly. Batch 447 was routine, unremarkable, except for sample 447-B. All other samples from the batch tested normal. 12 grams, correct specifications. But 447-B was different, impossibly heavy, like it was made from depleted uranium, but it wasn't. Spectrographic analysis confirmed aluminum, pure aluminum, standard alloy, just impossibly dense. March 18, 1981. The plant director authorized deeper investigation, sent the sample to the Ural Polytechnic Institute, Materials Science Department. Professor Arkady Lebedev received the sample with standard documentation. His initial assessment report is dated March 20th.
Received anomalous sample from Uralmash plant. Preliminary examination confirms reported measurements. Object appears to be standard aluminum disc. Visual inspection reveals no abnormalities. Surface finish consistent with industrial stamping. No unusual markings or features. However, mass measurement indicates density approximately 19,000 times greater than aluminum. This is impossible. Aluminum density 2.7 grams per cubic centimeter. Sample density approximately 51,300 grams per cubic centimeter. This exceeds density of any known material, including osmium, the densest naturally occurring element. Conducting comprehensive analysis.
The comprehensive analysis took 3 weeks. Lebedev's team performed every test available: X-ray crystallography, electron microscopy, neutron activation analysis, thermal conductivity, electrical resistance, magnetic susceptibility. Every test returned the same result: standard aluminum, nothing unusual, nothing extraordinary, except the mass. Lebedev's final report is dated April 12, 1981. 8 pages, dense with technical data. The conclusion is on page 7.
Sample exhibits properties inconsistent with physical laws. Material composition verified as aluminum alloy. Crystal structure normal. Atomic spacing normal. Electron configuration normal. All measurable properties indicate standard aluminum, yet mass indicates material density incompatible with observed atomic structure. This represents fundamental violation of matter conservation principles. Either our measurements are flawed, or the object contains mass that exists in configuration not detectable by current analytical methods. Recommend transfer to specialized facility for advanced analysis.
The specialized facility was Installation 16, deep in the Urals. Officially, it was a metallurgical research center. Actually, it was a closed city, a facility that studied things the Soviet Union didn't want to acknowledge publicly. The transfer order is dated April 20th, 1981, signed by a deputy minister whose name has been redacted. Plate S was packaged in lead-lined container, transported under military escort. Arrived at Installation 16 on April 23rd. Dr. Yuri Petrov received the sample. Senior physicist, specialist in exotic matter. His intake report includes a detail that previous investigators missed.
Sample transported in standard containment. Upon arrival, noticed container damage. Lead lining compressed, deformed, as if subjected to extreme pressure from within. Container interior shows compression marks radiating from sample location. Pattern suggests sample was heavier during transport than at origin. Measured sample immediately upon removal. Mass 51.8 kilograms. Increase of 4.5 kilograms since initial measurement. Sample is gaining mass.
April 25th, 1981. Second measurement. Mass 54.2 kilograms. Gain 2.4 kilograms in 2 days. April 27th. Mass 57.9 kilograms. Gain 3.7 kilograms. April 30th. Mass 63.1 kilograms. Gain 5.2 kilograms. The rate was increasing, not linear growth. Exponential. Each measurement showed larger gain than previous interval. Petrov's report, dated May 1st, 1981, shows the first signs of concern.
Sample mass increasing at accelerating rate. No energy input detected. No material absorption observed. Sample is gaining mass spontaneously. This violates conservation of mass energy. Source of additional mass unknown. Mechanism unknown. Implications unknown. Recommend immediate containment, upgrade, and continuous monitoring.
May 3rd, 1981. Mass 71.4 kilograms. The sample was moved to reinforced containment. Dedicated observation room. 24-hour monitoring. Scales calibrated hourly. Video recording continuous. The video logs are stored with this folder. 19 days of footage, showing a small metal disc sitting on a scale. The number on the scale increasing, hour by hour, day by day. The disc unchanged, unmoving, just getting heavier. May 5th, mass 82.7 kilograms. May 7th, mass 96.3 kilograms. May 9th, mass 114.8 kilograms. Dr. Petrov's team expanded. 5 physicists, 3 engineers, 2 mathematicians, all focused on one question. Where was the mass coming from? Dr. Elena Morozova proposed the first theory, documented in report dated May 10, 1981.
Hypothesis: sample is not gaining mass. Sample is concentrating existing mass from surrounding space. Gravitational field measurements show localized distortion around sample. Space appears compressed, curved inward, as if sample is creating gravity well disproportionate to observed mass. Possible explanation: sample is accumulating mass from quantum vacuum fluctuations, virtual particles becoming real, collapsing into sample. If correct, sample is converting zero-point energy into matter. Rate of conversion is increasing. Potential end state unknown.
May 12th, mass 138.4 kilograms. The gravity well around the sample became measurable at distance. Objects placed within 1 meter exhibited slight attraction toward sample. Paper, pens, small tools. They would slowly drift toward the disk. Not quickly, not dramatically, but measurably, consistently. May 14th, mass 167.9 kilograms. First, structural damage. The reinforced table supporting the containment scale developed cracks, stress fractures. The sample's weight was exceeding design specifications. May 16th, mass 203.5 kilograms. The sample was moved to industrial scale, rated for 500 kilograms, placed in lower-level laboratory, reinforced floor, concrete foundation directly on bedrock. Dr. Petrov's report from that day includes new observation.
Sample temperature decreasing, not dramatically, but measurably. Surface temperature now 2.3 degrees below ambient. No cooling mechanism observed. Sample is not radiating heat. It's absorbing it. Thermal imaging shows heat flow towards sample. Air temperature within 50 centimeters of sample reduced by 1.1 degrees. Pattern consistent with energy conversion. Heat being transformed into mass. Second law of thermodynamics violation confirmed.
May 18th, mass 247.1 kilograms. Observation team noted time distortion. Clocks within 2 meters of sample ran slow. Not by much. Approximately 0.0003%, but consistent, measurable, reproducible. Dr. Morozova's updated report explains.
Sample is generating measurable space-time curvature, gravitational time dilation detected, consistent with general relativity predictions. However, magnitude of curvature requires mass far exceeding measured mass. Either our gravitational measurements are wrong, or sample contains hidden mass, mass that exists but cannot be directly observed, possibly in additional dimensions, possibly in quantum superposition. Sample may be anchor point between our space-time and something else.
May 20th, mass 299.4 kilograms. The floor beneath the sample cracked. Hairline fractures, radiating outward. The concrete was failing. Not from weight alone, from something else. Stress in the structure of space itself. May 22nd, mass 362.8 kilograms. First casualty, junior physicist Alexei Sorokin. He entered observation room for routine measurement. Approached to within 1 meter of sample. Collapsed. No warning, no apparent cause. Medical examination found internal injuries, soft tissue damage, blood vessels ruptured, organs compressed, as if he'd been subjected to extreme pressure. But there was no pressure, no external force, just proximity to the sample. Dr. Petrov's incident report dated May 22nd describes it clinically.
Officer Sorokin experienced sudden onset of severe internal trauma while in proximity to sample. Injuries consistent with compression. However, no compressive force detected. Hypothesis: gravitational gradient around sample exceeded safe threshold. Tidal forces within sample's gravity well sufficient to damage biological tissue. Sample is now dangerous to approach. Recommend remote observation only. Recommend evacuation consideration.
May 24th. Mass, 439.7 kilograms. The industrial scale was upgraded. Hydraulic system, rated for 2,000 kilograms. Sample placed in center of reinforced chamber. All personnel prohibited from entering. Observation via video only. May 26th. Mass, 531.2 kilograms. The gravity well expanded. Objects within 3 meters began exhibiting attraction. Loose tools, papers, dust. Everything slowly migrating toward the sample, accumulating around it, creating ring of debris. May 28th. Mass, 643.9 kilograms. Power fluctuations began. Lights dimming near observation chamber. Electrical systems malfunctioning. Magnetic field measurements showed distortion. The sample was affecting electromagnetic fields, bending them, concentrating them. May 30th. Mass, 779.6 kilograms. Structural damage spreading. Cracks in walls. Floor sagging. The building itself was failing. Not from weight, from gravitational stress, from space-time curvature too extreme for ordinary matter to withstand. Dr. Petrov filed emergency request, dated May 30th, 1981.
Sample mass exceeding safe containment limits. Structural integrity of facility compromised. Gravitational effects expanding. Time dilation within chamber now 0.002%. Approaching detectability threshold for human perception. Staff reporting disorientation, nausea, temporal dissociation. Recommend immediate sample disposal. Recommend deep burial or oceanic trench disposal. Sample cannot remain in populated facility.
The request was denied. Response from Moscow, single line. Continue observation. Data invaluable. Maintain containment. Evacuate non-essential personnel only. June 1st. Mass, 943.1 kilograms. Nearly 1 metric ton. The sample was a small metal disc you could hold in one hand, but it weighed as much as a car, and getting heavier. June 3rd. Mass, 1,141 kilograms. The debris ring around sample collapsed. Objects didn't just drift anymore, they accelerated. Pulled inward. Crushed against the sample surface. Compacted. Compressed into impossibly thin layers. Dr. Morozova's final report dated June 3rd, 1981.
Sample has become miniature gravitational singularity, not true black hole, not yet, but approaching similar physics.
Escape velocity at surface approximately 0.3 meters per second. Anything touching sample cannot be removed by normal force. It is captured, trapped, absorbed. Sample is growing not just in mass, but in gravitational reach. At current acceleration rate, sample will reach critical mass within 14 days. Critical mass defined as point where escape velocity at surface equals speed of light. Point where sample becomes true black hole. Point where containment becomes impossible. June 5th. Mass 1,381 kilograms. Video footage shows the observation chamber changing. Walls bending, curving inward, drawn toward the sample. Concrete cracking, steel reinforcement exposed, twisting, reaching toward the center. June 7th. Mass 1,672 kilograms. The building was evacuated. All personnel withdrawn except observation team. Remote monitoring only. Cameras, sensors, scales, all operating automatically. All data transmitted to surface station 200 meters away. June 9th. Mass 2,025 kilograms, 2 metric tons. The chamber floor collapsed. Not broke. Collapsed. Folded inward. Warped around the sample. Creating crater. Funnel. Everything flowing toward center. Toward the impossibly heavy disk at the bottom. June 11th. Mass 2,452 kilograms. Light inside chamber behaving strangely. Video shows distortion, bending, lensing effect. Light paths curving around sample. Gravitational lensing, visible to naked eye. Space itself warping. June 13th. Mass 2,967 kilograms. Nearly 3 tons. The readings were transmitted automatically. No one entered, no one observed directly. Just cameras. Watching a small metal disc destroying a building through its mere existence. June 15th. Mass 3,592 kilograms. The chamber began sealing itself. Walls collapsing inward, ceiling descending, drawn by gravity. Consumed by the warping space around the sample. Building eating itself, swallowing its own structure into the gravity well. June 17th. Mass 4,348 kilograms. Communication with internal sensors lost. Cameras offline, scales offline. Final transmission showed mass measurement and single video frame. The frame shows darkness. Total darkness. Light no longer escaping. Chamber sealed. Sample buried. Contained not by human effort, but by its own gravity. Pulling everything inward, including light. June 18th, 1981. Installation 16 received directive from Moscow. Orders signed by someone whose authority exceeded normal chains of command. The signature is illegible, just a stamp, red ink. Seal installation 16 subsection 7. Bury all access tunnels, evacuate all personnel, facility decommissioned. Sample containment failure. Sample remains in situ. No recovery attempt authorized. No further investigation authorized. Site classified, restricted indefinitely. The orders were executed. Subsection 7 was filled with concrete. 50,000 cubic meters. Poured through ventilation shafts, through elevator shafts, through every access point. Entombing the chamber. Entombing the sample, burying it under hundreds of tons of reinforced concrete. Seismographs recorded unusual activity during the pour. Vibrations, oscillations, centered on the burial site. Like something was pulling at the concrete, drawing it down, compacting it, crushing it into denser and denser layers. The final seismic report dated June 25, 1981 notes the vibration ceased on June 23rd. Suddenly, completely, as if something had finished, or stopped, or achieved equilibrium. No one knows what happened to Plate S after burial. No one can access it. No one can measure it. The chamber is gone, collapsed, compressed, possibly crushed into singularity, possibly still there, impossibly heavy, impossibly dense. This folder contains 73 documents, measurements, reports, analysis, theories, all attempting to explain a simple metal disk that weighed more than it should. That gained mass spontaneously. That violated every known law of physics. The last document is a theoretical paper, written by Dr. Morozova, dated 1987, 6 years after the incident, published in classified journal, never distributed publicly. The paper's title is simple: On the Nature of Plate S and Implications for Cosmology. Her conclusion is on the final page. Plate S was not anomaly, it was window, brief glimpse into mechanics underlying reality. Standard physics assumes matter is fundamental, assumes mass is intrinsic property of particles. Plate S suggests a different model. Mass is not intrinsic. Mass is relationship. Connection between our space-time and something deeper, something beyond. Plate S was aluminum disk that somehow developed stronger connection, stronger relationship, drew more mass from underlying substrate, from quantum foam, from zero-point field, from whatever exists beneath reality we perceive. In normal matter, this connection is fixed, stable, unchanging. In Plate S, connection became unstable, began growing, strengthening, pulling more and more mass across dimensional boundary. Process fed on itself. More mass attracted more mass. Positive feedback. Runaway effect. Ultimate fate of sample unknown. Possibly achieved equilibrium. Possibly collapsed into microscopic black hole. Possibly still growing. Still accumulating mass. Still pulling reality toward itself. Buried under concrete. Under Installation 16. Under Urals. Possibly still there. Possibly growing. Slowly, inevitably. Creating gravity well that will eventually pull everything nearby into itself. Including rock, including Earth, including Installation 16, including Sverdlovsk, if growth continues, if process cannot self-terminate. Then somewhere beneath Urals, there is growing singularity, small, contained, for now, but growing, always growing. One day, it may pull Installation 16 into itself, collapse a facility into crater, into hole, into nothing. This is speculation, but Plate S was impossible. Yet it existed. If impossible things exist, then other impossible things may follow. We may have created something we cannot contain, something that will grow forever, something that will eventually consume everything nearby. Not quickly, not dramatically, just inevitably. Like Plate S gaining mass, day by day, hour by hour, until there's nothing left but gravity and darkness, an impossibly small point containing impossibly large mass. We may have created tiny black hole by accident, by stamping aluminum disc, by routine industrial process, and we buried it because we didn't know what else to do. The paper was never published beyond the classified journal. Dr. Morozova was transferred shortly after submission, sent to weather monitoring station, remote posting, Siberia. She never published again. Died in 1989. Heart attack, official cause. Installation 16 remains closed, sealed, restricted. The concrete tomb over subsection 7 remains undisturbed. Seismic monitors show no activity, no vibrations, no oscillations, just silence. But sometimes, every few years, seismographs detect anomaly, brief, slight, centered on subsection 7. Like something shifting, settling, growing. The readings are archived, documented, classified, never explained. Because somewhere beneath installation 16, somewhere beneath the Urals, somewhere under 50,000 cubic meters of concrete, there might be a small metal disc, 23 millimeters diameter, 2 millimeters thick, weighing something impossible, growing something inevitable, waiting to become what it was always going to become. Not disc, not metal, not matter as we understand it. Just mass, pure mass, concentrated, compressed, collapsing inward. Forever.